If you want to have a very a diverse population in your society with different racial backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, different heritage, different all of this, the only way that that can really work is if they have something that unifies them, a unified belief system, value system, moral system, and so on. And we have that, alhamdulillah, as Muslims, we have that, and it's comprehensive. In America, they have that, and it's money. It's the unified belief in money, the unified value of materialism and capitalism and consumerism. They call it melting pot, and everything melts away except for money, and money melts everything away about you individually. And that being the case, it's not about character. The population no longer is needed to establish a culture or a character, because you've already decided there's not going to be one anyway. There's just money. So you only exist as people in the society to feed the economy. That's the only purpose. Everything, it's economy über alles. There's no means by which the country exists. There's only the ends for which it exists, which is materialism, wealth and prosperity for the few. Yeah. And the way that you can get the masses to be involved in supporting the wealth and prosperity of the few is by having them believe in the promise that someday they're going to be one of those few, even though you never will be. They have that lottery mindset that maybe one day I'll be one of the 1% or the 0.001% and whatever, and you never will be. Which I think you were talking about in the book, where they were talking about all of these different metrics that they use to measure the health of the economy, and none of them measure the health of the economy. What you really need to look at is, are people subsisting? Are they able to, for example, are they able to subsist a family? Are they able to subsist on one income or not? Is their income keeping pace with the cost of living? And is there any real financial upward mobility? Is there upward mobility financially and in terms of their skills, and opportunities and so on? Are any of those things real? Yeah. And upward mobility in America it's a myth. You will die poorer than your parents. That's the reality that everybody is living in. I mean, this generation coming up now doesn't even have the confidence that they will ever be able to buy a home in their lifetime, that they will ever own property in their lifetime. This is, I mean, I think it was the millennials where they said that it would be the first generation in American history that didn't have any realistic expectation of being better off than their parents. Wow. In their lifetime. That their situation, their condition, their finances, everything would be worse than their parents. And that's the first time in American history. And it's just continuing. They're not the last. They may be the first generation that's like that, but they're not the last. Every succeeding generation will be worse than their parents. Be worse off than their parents. They have this thing. They have this, the passport bros who are fed up from the feminists and so on and whatever, American women. They want more traditional women and so forth. So this is again a very, very, very American short-sighted thinking. They think if I get a passport and I go over to the Philippines or Thailand or wherever, and I marry a more traditional woman, I've solved my problem. But the problem is you bring her back. Yep. You bring her right back to America. And but not just that, but within months, she's going to be exactly like what you are trying to avoid. You think she's going to stay traditional when she's not in her own society? She's in your society now. And you can't support her. There's a reason why women aren't traditional anymore, because they can't afford to be traditional anymore. Most women aren't in the workplace because of feminism. They're in the workplace for financial survival. I mean, I had a video, an old video from the Qawamun days where I was reacting to the Kevin Samuels, and how he used to, mock and condemn women who worked, and say that you wasted your life, you wasted your life on a career, and now you're 40, whatever, and you want a man, you have unrealistic expectations of a man who's making $100,000 a year, 6 or 7 figure income. But you don't bring anything to the table that he wants. because all you did was work, be in the workplace, and you worked and you have nothing to offer him. Okay. But the fact that she wants to marry a man who is making a 6 or 7 figure income means that she wants to be traditional. She wants to be at home. She doesn't want to be working. That's a situation that the economy forced on her. And now you're bringing a girl back from the Philippines back into that same system. What do you think is going to happen? She's going to have to work too. All the same things are going to happen. Why don't you get your passport and just move?
Yeah.
That's how you can solve. That's a much better way to solve your problem. Get out of that system. Get out of that economy. Get out of that country. Get out of that so-called culture. Get out of that so-called civilization and go somewhere that's actually more civilized, that's more advanced, because it's more traditional. You don't have as a man, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But to work.
Yeah.
What makes you think she does? What makes you think she has a choice? Let's say that you are enlightened enough and wise enough and disciplined enough and mature enough to reduce your expenses, and you just live very, very simply, which obviously you don't, but let's just pretend that you do. I know, all these red pill types, they like to watch videos about stoicism, but nobody practices it.
Yeah.
None of you are aesthetics. None of you are practicing Zuhud. Let's be honest. But let's pretend that you are. Look at actually what just you as a private single individual, what your expenses are. Assuming you have a car, assuming you have a rent, assuming you have a mobile phone, assuming you have internet, assuming that you have to pay for gas, petrol, whatever, or take public transportation and so on, assuming that you have health insurance, assuming that you have all of the endless bills that you have. Now double it. Your grocery bill, double it. With inflation, what it is. Can you, okay, if you're single, if you're a single man and you're complaining about women in the workplace, I assume you have substantial savings in your savings account, if you're talking about that, which would make you a rarity from the American workforce. That if you have ample savings in your account, the overwhelming majority of people in the U.S. are living paycheck to paycheck. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, how are you going to support somebody? What makes you think that she's not going to have to work? And what makes you think that the reason she's working now is because of feminism and not because of financial necessity?
Yeah.
And that's going to be the case with the girl that you bring over from the Philippines, or from Thailand, or from Malaysia, or from wherever else you go. That's going to be the case with her too. You're not going to be able to support her. That's not your problem. Your problem isn't the female victims of the economic system that you're in. The problem is the economic system that you're in, which is based on a belief system, which is a disbelief system. It's a kufr system. That's why you're in the situation that you're in. And it's not going to resolve it by now going over to a country where someone is in a healthy society, a healthy, normal society, and bringing them into the misery that you live in. You think she's not going to miss back home? This is why your whole so-called civilization is going extinct.